name is Kabir, and this is Kabir Speaks. So today I want to talk to you guys about the two main personality types, type A and type B. I say the two main personality types because I think they are the most well known. I love personality quizzes. I think they're really fun, so I've taken several of them. If I were to say to you, oh, I'm an ENFP, you might know what that means, or you might not. But if I say I'm a type B, then more likely you're gonna kind of have an idea of what that means. People are very familiar with the expression type A and type B. So this personality assessment actually started in the 50s, so it's rather dated. It's interesting how it started. So there were these two cardiologists, and they were getting their chairs in their waiting room looked at by an reupholsterer. Reupholsterer? I don't know. They were getting their chairs looked at in their waiting room. Now, if you're gonna go see a cardiologist, it's not because everything's hunky-dory. It's because you have a problem or a concern or you're worried something's going on that you need to get checked out. So the guy comes in who's gonna redo their chairs, and he notices that there's something very different about these chairs versus the other ones that he's worked on in the past. So he mentions to the doctors like, I noticed that the outer edges of your chairs are like a lot more well-worn than the middle part of the chair. And the edges, like the arms of the chair are more well-worn than other chairs that I have seen and worked on. So the doctors were like, that is interesting. People who are in our waiting room are sitting on the edges of their seats. So they took it a little bit further and they're like, oh, so people who are in our waiting room are experiencing higher amounts of stress. And then, even though they are heart doctors and not psychologists, they began a study to see if there was a certain personality type that would lead to more stress versus other personality types. And that's where they stumbled upon this, which they termed type A personality. So they made this psychometric called the Janssen Activity Survey to measure type A traits. What I found is interesting is, like, at that time, they weren't looking for type B traits. They discovered the type B is now more like, fleshed out today, but back then the type B personality was more or less the absence of type A traits. So they coined the term type A with this assessment tool. Now, I looked for the JAS online, and it was really hard to find because I wanted to take it. I already know which personality type I am, but it would give you a range because, like most human behavior, it is a spectrum. Most people are going to be somewhere along the lines in the middle, or further this way or further that way. And I was curious to see like how far type B I am. And it was really difficult to find this tool to use. There was one site that it was on where it was free and you could take it, but the site had been like taken down. And then I found this other website, which is like for clinical research. I had to make an account, and I was totally willing to pay for it, like a little bit if it was not that expensive, to pay for this tool because I was really curious about it. But I finally, after like jumping through hoop after hoop on this clinical research website, after making an account and downloading the PDFs and all that, I did get my hands on it, but I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to share it or not. It said it was public domain. I'm a little nervous about like copywriting things and stuff like that. You never know. But it's interesting the questions that were on it. Some of them would be like questions that you would expect, like how do you feel when you're running late, and how often do you complete projects on time? There were also a lot of questions on it about like how quickly do you eat? How quickly would your friends and family say you eat? Which I'm really not sure, like, what's that got to do with anything? But those are the type of questions on it, and it was actually a pretty lengthy survey. So the JAS was the original tool used to determine whether you were type A or type B. If you know yourself, you could probably know, like, how you are, which way you lean. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the two personality types. So type A. A lot of the language that the two doctors used initially to describe type A are words that are going to come across like kind of insulting. But I don't mean it that way. And actually there's a ton of strengths and weaknesses to both personality types. And a lot of the words that they use might seem like for example, aggressive. That's a type A personality trait. Rigid is a type A personality trait. Competitive. They even went so far as to use the word hostile. Um, harsh. Structured. Highly organized. Type A personality types, they get a lot of sense of their self-worth from their achievement. So for that reason, they tend to be high achievers. They like problems to have a set solution. So that can sometimes stress them out if things don't go according to plan exactly how they planned it. Your type A personality types are going to be very on time. They are highly organized. They are impatient. Their time is very important to them. So if someone is like not getting to the point, talking to them, the type A would be more likely to like be interrupting, so they can just kind of get on with things. The type B, on the other hand, which is what I am, like very much so, is flexible. We are patient, a lot more patient than our type A counterpart. We care less about the destination and more about the journey. I am almost never on time. I have a very hard time being punctual, and I routinely take the scenic route to get to work just because I enjoy it, even though it takes me 10 minutes longer. Type Bs are very laid back. So again, like the thing that started the assessment in the first place was those levels of stress. So your type A's, they do experience a lot of stress because to them, like they're focusing on the numbers and the deadlines and times and things like that. Whereas the type B personality type, we're a lot less concerned about those types of things. And so as a result, type Bs do experience lower levels of stress. Something that was really interesting to me, so the company that was backing their research was actually cigarette companies. So way back when, cigarette companies, they were really on board with the idea that it could be your personality that causes the stress, which causes heart conditions. Because they were in hot water back then. People were starting to realize, oh, cigarettes are killing us. So cigarette companies wanted to kind of push the blame onto something else. So that's the reason why they backed this. So yes, type A's do experience far more stress. Even type B's who are smokers, type A's are still more likely to have heart problems, which is very interesting. Although the flip side of that is because the type A's are more organized and structured, type B's, such as myself, we might not get to the doctor. We might be doing other things and not have time to have it all planned out when we're gonna take our next visit to the physician. So, there's two sides to every coin in that regard. So type A's and type B's, can they get along? Yes, they can. They can work together. But I would have to say I don't really have any close friends in my inner circle who are strongly type A. Some of them do have some type A traits, but most of my closest friends are type B like me. And we all get along and we all lollygag and are relaxed and calm, and that's how I like it. But type A's, they can get stuff done. My family doesn't really have any really strong and rigid type A's. I'm the most type B in my family. The rest of my family, they more have the ability to be on time than I do. But if we were running late to church or to something, they don't freak out. So a very rigid type A, if they're running late, that's going to be really stressful for them. So my family is somewhere in the middle. So they are more on time than me, but if we were running late, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. But in my family, there is one person who has more type A traits than any of the rest of us, and I would love to tell you about her. So, if you don't know this about me, it's one of the cooler things about me. I mention it all the time, but if you don't know this, I am adopted, and I have a sister who is the same age as me. She's biological to my parents, so we don't share any of the same genetic traits. However, we were raised in the same household, in the same community. We went to the same school. We did a lot of things together growing up, and we could not be more different. So Vanessa, she is 26, as am I, and Vanessa is a lot more type A than I could ever hope to be. So some of those traits that I mentioned before, Vanessa has them, and I don't. Now again, I remember how I said that they may come across as like insulting, but I really don't mean them that way. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these traits are strengths. So I'm a very mild, laid back person. Vanessa has a lot more aggressiveness than I do. And when I say it's a strength, I really mean it because I am so mild mannered. Sometimes people take advantage of that, and sometimes people tend to like manipulate me or walk all over me, or just like abuse that gentleness that I have. Vanessa, on the other hand, she doesn't take shit from anybody. And I think people might try her once, but definitely wouldn't try it again, because if you do something to upset her, she's gonna let you know, like right away. If she asks you to do something and you don't do it, she's gonna get on you and make sure you do it. And that's something that's really cool about my sister. So she is really like my perfect foil in a way in that regard. One time when we were younger, I was like, "Hey Vanessa, if we weren't sisters, do you think we would be friends?" And she was like, "No." But I think we still could be, but we're really, really different. And actually it's said in our family, like, if you want to feel good about yourself, you go to me. If you want the truth, you go to Vanessa. So one of Vanessa's favorite expressions is, "Can I be honest?" It's like, "Vanessa, you're always honest. When are you not honest?" So she can be really honest, and like that's important. You need to have those people who will give you the reality checks in your life, and that's my sister. Something I want to clarify, having those like harsher traits, that doesn't mean that she's not kind. My sister is very kind and she is very generous. Just like me, she would give you the shirt off of her back if you needed it. And so there's actually been several times when my sister has, helped me out with things and given me that generosity. So being like a little bit harsher, a little bit tougher doesn't mean that you aren't kind. You might just show it in different ways. Another thing about Vanessa, she's a lot more organized than I am. So she actually, we're the same age, like I said, she has two businesses. Yes, two businesses. One is Vanessa Bakes Cakes, if you're interested, that she runs successfully. Like she got right on it. She's been working full time, multiple jobs since high school. She's doing great for herself. Me, been in college for a long time, had a lot of different jobs, a lot of different positions. What do I have going on for myself? I'm halfway through writing a book. Actually, that's a lot. Maybe like a third of the way through writing a book. I'll get to it when I get to it. I have this YouTube channel, which I am proud of, but if you haven't noticed, I can't stick to one topic. I have a lot of different ideas and thoughts and plans, and that's something I'm good at. I'm good at, I have a creative mind. I'm good at coming up with ideas. Sometimes I'm a little bit struggling with the follow through, which is also very typical of your type B personality. Competitiveness is a type A trait. I don't think Vanessa's like extremely competitive, but like, for example, in high school, she did volleyball where there's a winner and there's a loser. I did theater where it's, there's not a winner and a loser. It's just a show. And that's something that I really enjoyed. Although I also did competitive public speaking when I was in high school, and for that I did have to be organized, and I was very organized because it's something that was really important to me. So my team that I was on, we traveled like out of state to compete, and so we had to wake up really early, and that means my dad had to take me to the school so I could get on the bus and all of that stuff. So my dad wakes up for work like 4 or something, or he used to when I was in high school. So you can bet that I was, up and ready to go because I couldn't have my dad be late to work, and I was always on time for that. And that was like a lot. That was my structure, and that was, taught me more than anything else, like how to be organized. So I definitely possess those abilities. It's just if I take a more roundabout approach, it doesn't bother me or stress me out. Like it would stress out your type A personality type. So yeah, everyone's different. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and there are definitely ways that I could grow in. I'm trying really hard to get better at being a little bit more like my sister, like to put down my boundaries when I need to. That's something that's like honestly one of my biggest flaws. So I could work on that. And everyone else could work on chilling out like me, if you want. So I'm curious, what is your personality type? Are you a type A? Are you a type B? Are you somewhere in the middle? What do you like about yourself? Where do you have room to grow? And tell me, like, how does knowing about your personality type help you out in your day-to-day living? All right, so that's everything for today, and thank you for watching. Take care.